A group of Fort Scott High School students and parents spent part of their morning protesting at the Board of Education. You'll learn why coming up.
Hospitals near capacity in some COVID hotspots while top global scientists voice concern about booster shots. I'm Jonathan Seri in Atlanta. I'll have details coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abbey. Wrecks on Interstate 44 near Joplin forced police to shut down a westbound portion of the interstate as a storm moved through that area. Police say there were 3 wrecks near the Joplin Main Street exits. One involved a semi-truck, an SUV, 2 other vehicles. Police shut down a portion of the interstate from the Main Street exit to the Range Line exit. At last report, there were no fatalities from these wrecks. Students and parents unhappy with Fort Scott School District's decision to require masks in schools made their voices heard this morning with a protest at the school board's office. KOAM's Mike Mahoney was there, learning why some students and parents object to this mask mandate.
Due to the ongoing pandemic, USD 234 in Fort Scott is requiring students and staff to wear masks inside the classroom and on school vehicles. But that decision isn't sitting right with some Fort Scott High School students and their parents.
Kids become antisocial with masks on, and I just moved here from Kansas City, and this is my first year at Fort Scott, and I can't imagine going into a school with a mask on, having to be quiet all the time, having to speak louder. Not being able to express my emotions through my face.
Some students and parents spent part of their Thursday morning protesting the mask mandate in front of the school board office. One parent tells KOAM that just because he opposes masks in school doesn't mean he's not taking the pandemic seriously.
It's my responsibility to take care of my children and to make sure that they take all the necessary precautions, medical precautions, every other kind of precaution there is. It's my responsibility as a parent. It's definitely not, and this was the insinuation at the school board meeting, it's definitely not a teacher's responsibility to say that they know more or to act as if parents are ignorant because they don't want their child to wear a mask.
The students believe that there would have been more protesters, but say many high schoolers were pressured not to attend.
Coaches, teachers were telling their students that if they were going to join the protests, they could be removed from things. They could not play in sports.
I reached out to the USD 234 superintendent, but he was unavailable. According to the school district's website, the school board will reevaluate the mask mandate at each monthly school board meeting. In Fort Scott, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
USD 234 details many of its procedures relating to the coronavirus in its 2021-2022 operations guidelines. We've included a link to that in this article over on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Meteorologist Nick Kelly joining us now. More showers today, Nick.
Yeah, and they're trying their best to keep the heat away, Jordan, but for even those that saw a little bit of rain, it was quite a warm one once again. 71 this morning, topped out at 89 degrees with a little bit of rain that managed to accumulate with those few showers that did work over the airport as everything worked from south to north throughout the course of the afternoon and evening so far. Still tracking a couple isolated showers, maybe a random storm out there, but we're trying to get a little bit of a break in our rain chances before they ramp up again tomorrow. In the meantime, most of us upper 70s to near 80. It's going to be another mild night, Jordan, and with rain chances still in the forecast, we'll see if they can hold back any returning summer heat here in a bit.
Nick Kelly, thank you. A legal ruling bans a Southeast Kansas man and his contracting company from doing business in the state and orders him to pay a penalty and restitution. The Attorney General had filed a lawsuit against Don Diebolt of Iola, doing business as Diebolt LLC. The AG accused Diebolt of violating the Kansas Consumer Protection Act, failing to provide goods to consumers after being paid, and making transactions that were excessively one-sided in his favor. When Diebolt failed to respond, an Allen County District Court judge ordered him to pay 2 consumers a total of more than $18,000 in restitution and to pay $40,000 in civil penalties, in addition to the cost of the Attorney General's investigation. Diebolt tells us he believes he is not banned from doing business in the state. Evacuations continue out of Afghanistan. Since Saturday, about 7,000 have made it out of the country as the president and his administration face increasing criticism over how the whole situation has been handled. Fox's Lauren Blanchard has more now from D.C.
There is no good time to leave Afghanistan. 15 years ago would have been a problem. 15 years from now.
President Joe Biden stands by his decision to withdraw U.S. troops from Afghanistan in an interview with ABC. However, the Taliban's takeover of the Afghan government was faster than the president, Pentagon, and State Department predicted.
President Biden is confronting the consequences of his catastrophic miscalculation, of his horrific execution of the decision to withdraw our troops from Afghanistan.
The Kabul airport remains a chaotic scene. The State Department says 6,000 Americans and allies alike have been processed and are waiting to be evacuated. Others cannot reach the airport.
This is absolutely an all-hands-on-deck effort and organize the evacuation of thousands and thousands of individuals.
Now, more than 5,200 U.S. troops are in Afghanistan ahead of an August 31st deadline to withdraw.
Are you committed to making sure that the troops stay until every American who wants to be out is out?
Yes.
The State Department says there is no guarantee Americans will be rescued, nor is there a clear answer on how many more remain in the country.
Today, how many American citizens remain in Afghanistan?
I don't know.
The U.S. military says they have enough C-17s flying in and out of Afghanistan to evacuate 5,000 to 9,000 people per day. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Hospitals are nearing capacity in some hotspot states as the Delta variant shows no signs of slowing down. This coming as top global scientists express concern over booster shots. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Siri has more.
A decision by U.S. health officials to offer COVID booster shots to all Americans is generating new criticism about vaccine inequity. Global health data show just 1.3% of people in low-income countries have received at least one dose. Some World Health Organization officials warn failure to vaccinate at-risk groups could lead to more contagious variants.
It cannot be repeated enough. It will also contribute to conditions where the virus will very likely mutate further and could ultimately delay the global recovery from this pandemic.
But President Biden says the U.S. still has the capacity to help other countries, promising to distribute 500 million shots globally before the middle of next year.
We're going to be the arsenal of vaccines to beat this pandemic as we were the arsenal of democracy to win World War II.
U.S. health officials say the extra shot is needed to offer extra protection as the Delta variant spreads. The strain now accounts for about 98% of new infections in the U.S. The pace of hospitalization surged to an average of 11,000 new admissions over the past week. And on top of COVID cases, some facilities are playing catch-up on elective surgeries, postponed due to the pandemic, leading to a scramble for hospital beds.
We're getting transfers in for, if we have a bed, they're getting filled up with anybody at this point. And beds are scarce to come by.
The CDC says at the current pace, hospitalizations could reach a record high within a month. In Atlanta, Jonathan Siri, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another four-state hero. Louis Larson served in the U.S. Army from 1942 to 45. Native of Weir, Kansas, Larson was stationed in Ireland, England, North Africa, and Italy, earning several awards. We are proud to thank and salute Master Sergeant Louis Larson. He's tonight's four-state hero. Nick Kelly's up next with a complete look at the forecast, and later the Parsons Vikings entering their second season under head coach Jeff Scheibe. Going to hear from the team in sports.
We had temperatures stay quite warm again today, pardon me, even though we had to deal with scattered storms once again, some of which have worked over some of the casino grounds of Indigo Sky Casino and Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri. And again, for those of you that saw quite a bit of rain during the afternoon hours, that knocked you down temporarily from the 80s back into the 70s. But in general, this was how we fared. Mid to upper 80s yesterday, lower 70s this morning, and as warm as 89 degrees, especially around Joplin Regional for this afternoon. We did have a couple of isolated showers and storms in our far western counties this morning, but throughout this past week so far, Same story today, where we had an afternoon scattering of thunderstorms work from south to north as they continue to develop. On the average, though, about 1/10 of an inch of rain, but again, the heavier pockets putting down 1/2 an inch to almost 2 inches of rain, and we're actually still trying to hold on to a couple of isolated showers and maybe a few little thunderstorms. You can see one southwest of Chanute, one along the Oklahoma-Kansas line west of Miami, north of Bonita, and a couple cells right around the Neosho in southwestern parts of Newton County. And like the earlier cells that we had this afternoon, any of these still trying to hold on are lifting south to north, but I do think we'll get a bit of a lull in the action before we see possibly some more isolated storms by morning. In the meantime, though, we're dry in Joplin. 7th and Rangeline looking okay. 81 in Joplin, feels like 85 with the dew point sitting at a soupy 72 degrees. Most of us are still trying to hold on to readings near 80, but we'll all drop back to about 73 tonight. That's the best we can do because of the setup that's ready to work in. Other than a couple of scattered storms across the entire region, we have our next cold front that's ready to work in tomorrow to keep some rain chances in the forecast as we go through the weekend. But even though as one upper low departs and this upper low wants to bring in the front, look at this high in the Gulf of Mexico. That's an upper level ridge eager to develop, and that will definitely play a role in our forecast. Let's go through the rest of the night, though. The few showers that are out there, they're going to try to hold on, but I think they'll dissipate by midnight, no later than that. But I wouldn't be surprised if we have some isolated storms again as we get the morning drive underway. I think the best rain chances tomorrow actually will be during the morning hours before we back things down to maybe a couple of scattered storms in the afternoon. Still doesn't change the fact it's going to be very warm, if not a bit hot. 73 in the morning, 85 by noon, afternoon highs right around 90. I want to bring your attention to Friday night and Saturday morning, though, because ahead of the front, you can see how the future track wants to develop a band of showers and thunderstorms. I don't think those will be severe, but rain chances that could try to add to the tally in terms of rain amounts just for the next 2 days alone. Anywhere from 1/10 of an inch to 1.5 inches just from tomorrow alone. But then we'll see if we can add some more with the morning round of rain and storms for Saturday before we look at a mainly dry day. But even though I got rain chances again for Sunday morning, Jordan, this is not going to scrub out the heat on the way. 90 tomorrow, 92 Saturday, 93 on Wednesday. I see us dry for a good portion of next week. Mid-90s for highs and mid-70s for lows. We've held off on those for so long, but they're coming back.
Nick Kelly, thank you. Coming up, more rescue efforts.
Rescue operations are ongoing here and those still missing from these catastrophic floods. I'm Steve Harrigan in Canton, North Carolina. That story ahead.
Devastation in North Carolina as Tropical Storm Fred dumps heavy rains in the western portion of the state, causing massive flooding. Fox News correspondent Steve Harrigan has more.
We're standing strong, but we're needing support.
Officials in North Carolina confirming Thursday that at least 2 people are dead after remnants from Tropical Storm Fred brought disastrous flooding to western parts of the state, with water as high as 7 feet in some areas. Ground, air, and swift water rescue teams are continuing their work in Haywood County to search for those that are still missing. There are more than 200 boots on the ground involved in these efforts.
Those crews are from all over western North Carolina, all over the state of North Carolina, as far away as from the coast. It's a whole community, whole region, whole state effort.
The storm leaving behind massive damage, with some homes even pushed off of their foundations. Hundreds of families have been displaced, with many taking refuge in shelters in Canton and Waynesville. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper and Senator Tom Tillis touring the damage.
The destruction and the damage that they have seen is crippling.
One business owner in badly damaged Canton says he was still recovering from the pandemic, and this storm was just another major blow.
It's just like a 1-2 punch. We were starting to get some momentum back. I feel like we just got set back a couple of years here, but I think we're tough and we're going to keep pushing through.
The governor has declared a state of emergency for the counties affected by the storm. In Canton, North Carolina, Steve Harrigan, Fox News.
Next, the chance to become almost as fast as Superman.
Imagine flying faster than the speed of sound. Well, it could soon be a reality. I'm Ashley Strohmeyer with a look at one company's new planes that could have you flying to some of the world's largest cities in half the time, coming up.
760 miles an hour. That's how fast you'd have to go to break the sound barrier. It's also the speed one company's new planes are set to travel at, helping you get to your vacay in a snap. Fox News correspondent Ashley Strohmeyer reports.
When the world fully reopens after the pandemic, wouldn't it be nice to travel to your destinations faster? Well, a new aerospace company could let you do just that. Boom Supersonic is developing commercial planes that will travel faster than the speed of sound. Say hello to the Boom Overture. This model is about 1/3 of the size of what the actual planes will look like and is letting the company's test pilot practice breaking the sound barrier.
There's 35,000 feet and Mach 1.02, so we've gone through the sound barrier.
Standard flights from New York City to London are a little over 7 hours. From San Francisco to Tokyo, about 11. The Boom Overture will cut those times in half.
You know, our ultimate goal is high-speed flight for everybody.
It may seem like the future, but something similar was done back in the 1970s when the SST Concorde offered similar faster-than-sound flights. But operational cost and technology limitations led to its downfall. This time around, experts say the Boom Overture won't suffer a similar fate.
We have a whole new generation of engines that are significantly cleaner, quieter. That means that you can significantly drop the cost of high-speed flight.
Official test flights on the smaller model will start next year, as Boom Supersonic also breaks ground on a factory to build the full-scale versions. The end goal is getting their 65-passenger supersonic planes flying by 2029. So far, United has already signed on to purchase 15 of these planes. Boom Supersonic hopes more airlines will follow suit. Ashley Strohmeyer, Fox News.
Coming up, some scary mix and match cereal for fall and Halloween coming up. And for this story, scary is actually a good thing. With fall coming up, General Mills is ready to release their fall cereals, including one that's sure to beat a graveyard smash. The company announcing they're going to be releasing a new cereal, Monster Mash. Right there, it's a creepy combination of all 5 Monster cereals: Boo Berry, Count Chocula, Frankenberry, Fruit Brute, and Fruity Yummy Mummy. Thank God I didn't mess up with any of those words. I was praying. If that sounds like too much variety for you, regular boxes of, oh, here we go again, Boo Berry, Count Chocula, and Frankenberry will be released in retro packaging. In addition to the Monster Classics, Reese's Puffs returns with batch shapes and a limited edition flavor of pumpkin spice Cheerios. Right there will hit the shelves. So if you know people, growing up, I remember my brother, he used to be able to eat cereal at all times of the day, enjoy it. So if that's like you, here's something to look forward to. That sounds pretty good, right? 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports. Going away, the East Newton School Board meeting to discuss a possible mask mandate is going to have their decision.
Police investigate a bomb threat near the U.S. Capitol, forcing the evacuation of several government buildings in this area. I'm Mallory Rivera on Capitol Hill with the latest on the investigation coming up.
East Newton Board of Education tonight decided it will not require masks this school year. They will, however, require masks on the school buses. The school's superintendent says the plan is not entirely set in stone.
We'll make sure that we're monitoring students as they come in like we had in the past. And if we have a spike or we have anything that happens to increase our numbers, we'll reassess and make different decisions if that's necessary.
Superintendent also says they will not require vaccinations. After 35 years working for the city of Joplin, Assistant City Manager Dan Carrick is retiring. City Manager Nick Edwards made the announcement today. Carrick served as the city's public health director for 23 years, was the interim city manager, and was named assistant city manager last June. Edwards said, quote, "We thank Dan for his many years of service here at the city and his commitment to our organization and community." Carrick's retirement is effective October 4th. The Wyandotte Nation is helping the Ottawa County Sheriff's Office get where it needs to go. Tribe today donated $60,000 the Sheriff's Office will put towards the purchase of a new patrol SUV, so it can handle all of the terrain deputies encounter in the 4 states.
We've always said, that wherever we're at, we want to be a good neighbor. And, here in Ottawa County, we have a unique situation. We have 9 tribes. Some of us have our own police departments. And, but we're still part of the county. And, we want our police to work well with the Sheriff's Department.
Tribe officials say they used income from gaming, convenience stores, and other economic development projects for this donation. School has already started or will start very soon, and many students already have items of donated care in their backpacks. Seneca Bright Futures program partnered with the Call Center Joplin Alorica to donate 75 fully loaded backpacks to area kids. Alorica jumped in after hearing about the need of some struggling families.
We called the school districts and asked if there was a need. We were able to get a hold of Seneca Bright Futures, who told us that they would be able to use some of those because I guess they do purchase these supplies out of pocket, out of their funds. So we thought, why not help with this, the financial part of it, and just go ahead and donate these items.
The contents of the backpacks varied to meet the needs of students at various grade levels. Weather ended up allowing another edition of Joplin's Third Thursday. Quite a few attended, it looks like, right there. It ended at 9 tonight. Of course, another great opportunity to enjoy food, games, artwork, and a chance to catch up with some good friends. A tense situation in the nation's capital today. Law enforcement investigated an active bomb threat near the U.S. Capitol. While the incident ended with the suspect surrendering, police say he had a propane gas container, but have yet to determine if there was anything explosive inside the man's vehicle. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera has the latest details from Washington.
Police moved in as a more than 5-hour standoff with a 49-year-old North Carolina man ended with him surrendering.
He gave up and did not resist, and our folks were able to take him into custody without incident.
It all began just after 9 a.m. this morning. Police responded to reports of an explosive device near the U.S. Capitol after a man sitting inside a pickup truck told officers he had a bomb. Capitol Police tweeted calling the situation an active bomb threat investigation, warning people to avoid the area around the Library of Congress.
The officer said appeared to be a detonator in the man's hand. So we immediately evacuated the nearby buildings.
Those evacuated buildings included the Library of Congress and surrounding government buildings, including several Capitol office buildings and the U.S. Supreme Court.
But it is very cautious and dangerous at this time. They've evacuated portions of Capitol Hill.
Meantime, on social media, the man suspected of making the threats reportedly live-streamed anti-government remarks for hours from his truck, including calling on President Biden to step down from office. On Twitter, a Facebook official responded to questions about the suspect's posts, saying they not only deactivated the live stream, but also removed his profile from Facebook and are continuing to investigate. Given the House and the Senate were both in August recess this week, most lawmakers were not on Capitol Hill when much of the complex went into lockdown. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
In Haiti, people who live in the town of Jeremy are sifting through rubble by hand, days after a powerful earthquake rocked that country. The quake left more than 2,100 people dead, 12,000 others injured. Look at that, dozens of people are still unaccounted for. The earthquake was followed by a drenching tropical depression. International aid workers say hospitals that are located at the worst hit areas are mostly incapacitated. There is a desperate need for medical equipment, and many schools, offices, and churches were destroyed outright, or at the very least badly damaged, as we're seeing right there. Out a bit later, a national look at the ongoing disagreement over COVID vaccine and mask mandates.
We're going to continue to hold on to some rain chances going into the weekend, but we will, as we go through the next few minutes, find out if it can hold the returning summer heat at bay at least a little while longer. But it was just another typical day that we've had this week. Indigo Sky Casino Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri, showing some showers that worked over the casino grounds today. After we had a couple showers on the far western parts of the viewing area this morning, we had our usual afternoon scattering of thunderstorms that tried to dump some heavy amounts of rain, so anywhere from ½ an inch to 2 inches of rain in some spots alone today. And we're still tracking just a couple of stragglers out there. Dying shower between Chanute and Independence across Wilson County. We've got a couple showers in southeastern Lebec County and one little shower passing north in the Yosho, trying to clip areas on the east side of Joppa. But as far as the city itself, from 7th and Rangeline, we're looking dry and calm for now. Still warm though, 81 degrees, feels like 85 with the dew point sitting at 72. Most spots are right around the 80-degree mark right now, but I do see us dropping back back to about 73 as we go throughout the course of the night. And hopefully the map didn't freeze up. A wider look of the region shows again any scattered storms we had to start the evening out temporarily fading away. But a wider look at things shows our next front causing severe weather out in parts of the central and high plains. But none of that will make it here. The front itself will play a role in the forecast still as we head into the weekend. And in the upper levels, this upper low out west is going to try and push that front our way. But this blue H, this upper level ridge, that is going to ultimately win out. And you'll see how it wins out as we continue along. Starting with our look at the rest of the night, I'm going to go with partly cloudy skies, maybe a little more cloud cover by morning with maybe some isolated showers and storms in our southern counties trying to develop once again. So not a bad idea to have the umbrella handy before you head out the door in the morning. Then I think we'll just back things down to a couple of scattered thunderstorms during the afternoon. Even with these rain chances, it's going to be a very warm, if not kind of hot day. 73 in the morning, 85 by noon, afternoon highs topping out around 90 degrees, and that is even with some rain chances in the forecast. But here's 9 o'clock. Ahead of the approaching front, we're still expecting a developing band of thunderstorms to clip our northern counties late Friday night into Saturday morning. I don't think any of these will be severe, but rain chances will continue to watch before we back things down to maybe a couple of isolated storms on Saturday. So just for the next 2 days alone, anywhere from let's say a quarter of an inch to maybe an inch and a half, depending on the heaviest rainfall and how it tracks out. But this is why I'm tracking that big blue H. See what it does for Sunday? It doesn't allow that front to push on through. So even though the front will try to keep some rain chances around, as long as that really starts to build in throughout much of next week, it is going to turn hot and humid again. 90 tomorrow, 92 Saturday, 93 on Sunday. I'm thinking mainly morning rain chances for our Sunday, then hot and humid with highs near 95 for much of next week, Jordan.
All right, Nick Kelly, thank you again. GM announced today they have plans to begin selling vehicles with 5G connectivity provided by AT&T. The company released a statement saying, quote, GM and AT&T are working together to set the benchmark for automotive connectivity with the 5th generation cellular network architecture to meet the needs of an all-electric and autonomous future. So they're connecting 5G to autonomous driving. According to GM, people can expect to find 5G in millions of their cars and trucks in the next decade, adding that the first models expected to roll out are, quote, select model year 2024 vehicles. Toys R Us is eyeing yet another major comeback. The retailer has announced it's going to open 200 stores inside of Macy's locations across the country. Reps from Toys R Us and Macy's say customers should expect these mini stores at some point in 2022. The move by Toys R Us comes at a good time after news that Macy's surpassed Wall Street expectations amid rising sales and rising foot traffic. Toys R Us closed down its remaining 2 retail stores in the U.S. earlier this year, but still operates its website, which sends customers to Amazon, by the way, to complete their purchases. A New York man works as a hospital worker by day, graffiti artist by night. How cool is that? His work is now visible all across New York. Fox's Matt King talks to the artist about his double life and how he began this hobby.
That took over 30 years to get those lines. That's not no tape, no stencil, no none of that.
52-year-old graffiti artist Misael Rivas started experimenting with spray paint, pens, pencils, and brushes as a 12-year-old.
Just scribbling, you know.
Taking the artist named Totem from a pinball machine in a candy store in the Washington Heights neighborhood where he grew up, still lives, and works today.
As a kid, I used to pass that hospital. I'm like, one day I'm going to work here when I get older.
By day, Rivas works in the hospital where he was born, now as a member of the New York Presbyterian bone marrow transplant team. By night and weekends, Totem paints canvases and murals like this one on West 164th and Broadway, commissioned by the National Audubon Society.
I picked this bird because of the strength of his beauty and color, and I added my twist to it, my colors, my techniques, my style.
That style, the colors, the lines, and how they meet, identifies murals like this one to others in the graffiti art world as a creation of this neighborhood, Rivas' crew, and Totem himself.
Especially a beautiful neighborhood, they will know it's me without even reading the name down there.
While the pandemic complicated Rivas' hospital job, Totem found it easier to pursue and install his artwork.
There was less people outside.
Rivas estimates he now has more than a dozen murals up all around the tri-state, this one taking him 12 hours, others even longer.
But they usually get covered quick, and the next guys come and they'll do something on it.
So Totem is always looking for his next canvas, working on an exhibit for the Universal Hip Hop Museum and teasing undisclosed big things to come.
So it started here. Then I did in the Bronx, Queens, done in Jersey, but mostly Washington Heights.
In Washington Heights, I'm Matt King, Fox 5 News.
Awesome. Coming up in sports, the Parsons Vikings hitting the field for their first week of football practice. Also, Labette County aiming to expand the passing game this fall. Jacob Leonard has details next.
The Parsons Vikings are in the middle of their first week of fall football practice. Now, the Vikings are heading into their second season under head coach Jeff Scheibe. And Danny Terzer has more on how Scheibe and the team plan on improving in year 2 this fall.
The Parsons Vikings went to work this off-season.
The kids put in a substantial amount of time in the weight room. I was able to have strength and conditioning class with those kids, and I think that out of everything, that is absolutely the biggest opportunity going into year number 2 is having time with the kids.
The Vikings returned 10 seniors.
I love the brotherhood to this class. We're all really close. We all love this sport.
This senior class is not a very big senior class, but there's a lot of quality.
They've stepped up as leaders and are making a big difference.
It's very important in a program to have your juniors and seniors guide those young kids. If your best players can buy into what the coaches are trying to do, then that rubs off on those younger kids. They see Deion Sylvester, they see Isaiah Tyson, Steven Napper. Those kids, Zach Cowan, with 100% weight room attendance, it makes them want to work harder. And that's what we're trying to establish here.
For me, myself, I just don't have a problem with stepping on people's toes. I'm okay with saying stuff when I don't want to. I speak up when things need to be said. So I think that's really why I'm a leader.
The hard work seems to be paying off.
The first 3 practices have been some of the best practices we've had since I've been here.
The Vikings remain focused on a single goal.
Nothing else matters other than week 1, September 3rd against Anderson County.
In Parsons, Danny Terzer, KOAM Sports.
Now, the Vikings' first game of the season, as he mentioned, will be on September 3rd. It's a home game against Anderson County. Staying in southeast Kansas, the Labette County Grizzlies aim to climb in the SEK this fall. Now, last season, Labette County finished with a 2-7 overall record, their 3rd straight sub-500 finish. Now, this group lost a big senior class, so there will be plenty of new faces making plays for the Grizzlies this fall. Now, they do return a couple of first-team All-SEK guys in lineman Mitchell House and defensive back Andon Searles. Now, one point of emphasis this season for Labette County will be expanding the passing game a little bit, something they have not been able to do for a few years.
We've had a quarterback hurt for 2 straight years. We've been snake bit a little bit. We got Kendall Holtzman. He's a sophomore, big kid, 6 foot tall, about 200 pounds. He can throw the ball. And that's what we need in our offense. We want to run the ball. Everybody wants to run the ball, but we're not good enough to sit there and just run the ball every down. We need to throw the ball, and I think we got some good receivers for him to throw to, but he's looked really good so far.
Labette County has a home game to start the season, hosting the Pittsburgh Purple Dragons on September 3rd. And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Texas and Florida are at the center of an escalating battle over school mask mandates, with President Biden now directing his education secretary to use all his oversight authority against governors who are trying to ban school mask mandates. Fox News correspondent Phil Keating has these details.
The divisiveness of masking school kids or not continues triggering protests by parents. From the local level school boards all the way up to the White House, Democrats are piling on against Republican governors who are doing all they can to prevent mandatory mask mandates that don't provide a parent opt-out for their kids. The latest coming last night at the Palm Beach County School Board meeting due to rising cases of kids COVID positive and hundreds of boys and girls now in quarantine. In a 6-1 vote, the board removed parents' ability to exempt their children, the latest school district to defy Republican Governor Ron DeSantis. Miami-Dade and Tampa's Hillsborough counties did the same Wednesday. Orange County around Orlando now may join their mask mandate policies Tuesday. Broward and Alachua County already had, for which the State Board of Education unanimously voted Tuesday for unspecified sanctions. While the president didn't name names, the administration clearly is aiming at Republican governors like Texas's Greg Abbott, now COVID positive, and Florida's Ron DeSantis, both staunch opponents of mask mandates.
I'm directing the Secretary of Education, an educator himself, to take additional steps to protect our children. This includes using all of his oversight authorities and legal action, if appropriate, against governors who are trying to block and intimidate local school officials and educators.
Education Secretary Miguel Cardona is now looking at deploying the department's civil rights enforcement arm to investigate states banning mask mandates and whether they violate the civil rights of children. Governor DeSantis is not backing down.
And you got to wonder, where are your priorities that you're so obsessed with this issue and so obsessed with taking away parents' rights, and you're letting Afghanistan burn, our border burn, and so many other things in our country fall to pieces?
While these renegade districts do allow a doctor to exempt a child, Palm Beach County doesn't even allow that, only with an exemption under a federal disability law.
Next, Michael Keaton starring in a new movie, a thriller, gonna go behind the script. It's Killed or Be Killed from Maggie Q and Michael Keaton in the new assassin thriller, The Protege. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin has the story.
Someone killed a friend of mine because of a contract he completed years ago.
Maggie Q and Michael Keaton face off in the action thriller The Protege.
I want them to leave an action movie getting more than they bargained for.
It's a story that you don't know where it's going. A lot of surprises in it, a lot of twists and turns.
Q's role as an assassin breaks the mold of the conventional female action hero. She plays Anna, a skilled contract killer, confronted with her past after a revenge-driven mission gets her entangled in a deadly cat-and-mouse game with another trained killer, played by Keaton.
You really have this very multifaceted person who lives and moves in the world in, as you say, a very unconventional way, and in a way that's really compartmentalized and a total duality.
Little girls really like powerful superhero type characters. She's that, but not a superhero. You know, she's just a badass. She's smart, and then she goes out and just, beats up a whole lot of bad guys.
And as the real-life protege of Jackie Chan, Q always keeps in mind the philosophy of whatever you do, go all the way.
That fortitude, really just carving that space for yourself and making something your own and unique. Because if nothing else, Jackie's probably one of the most unique people who's ever been in Hollywood.
The Protege opens in theaters Friday. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with an honor flight ceremony from yesterday. Veterans from around the country visiting the World War II Memorial. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.